Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 10 of the 7,000 gold before TBC launches with no mages challenge. That is a bit wordy, I might need to work on that. But yes, that's episode 10. And this one is quite a busy one in terms of our farming. Normally I'm here to tell you that I haven't been able to do an awful lot and it's mostly down to the crafting. But I've actually had enough time at the minute for one reason or another to actually get a few different farms done. That does not, however, mean that they were particularly successful. So let's take them one by one. Now, what you're seeing right now is me back in Deadwind Pass, farming the ogres with a view to getting another one of those very lucky enchanting recipe drops. Now, I didn't get one, and that's not particularly surprising. However, what I also didn't get was the piece of the zone to myself, or any luck with regards to green drops or anything like that while I was here. Now this farm's pretty consistent anyway with the amount of raw gold that you're going to get from the actual gold drops, the grey items that you can vendor, and the cloth, which I know is not technically raw gold, but I consider it as such because of the ease of which it is sold. And as a result, it wasn't the worst farm that you're going to see our success levels with regards to this episode's farming. What probably was our worst bit of farming that we did was in Scarlet Monastery. Now, we only actually came in here for the herbs, but we did kill a few mobs along the way, and we didn't really get anything. But the real highlight here was the fact that I did 3 full resets, so I did every wing apart from Cathedral, because in my realm, the prices for what you get in Cathedral just doesn't make it worthwhile time-wise to do. And I went into Graveyard, so how I've run it is that I will start at either Graveyard or Library, and I'll simply work my way across, reset, and then do the same in reverse. So it does mean that quite frequently I will do the same dungeon twice in a row, and on this occasion I did Graveyard twice in a row. And on neither occasion was there a single herb that was worth picking. So in Graveyard, you are going to get King's Blood or you're going to get Grave Moss. On my realm, it's not worth picking up the King's Blood. On my first run, I had 2 King's Blood and only the 1 chest that's guaranteed and it was locked, so I literally ran in and never killed anything and never looted anything. Went back out and reset, only to get a single Grave Moss and no chest the next time. Now, obviously this is just blind luck and it'll balance itself out, and I could probably claim that I could have got better value if I'd have killed a mob along the way or something, but yeah, that's about as unsuccessful of a farm as you're going to get. I did end up leaving with enough stuff after my next run to be able to make 2 shadow oils because of the bits that I had left over, but all in all, pretty unsuccessful. What is arguably our most successful farm of the episode, however, is going to be our jump runs in Diamol. So we've had some difficulty with this farm as well as many other farms in the past that require jumping. So what do you do when you're awful at jumping and everyone teases you about it in the comments? You go and do something that is literally called jump runs. But fortunately for me, I finally started to get the hang of it. I now don't die on the first 2 bosses, which was actually what part was causing me problems. I'm sure I probably would die on the final boss if it weren't for the fact that I've decided simply to never attempt to kill the final boss because of the limitations of both my skill set and my character. Mostly my character, if I'm honest. I don't have an AoE way of dealing with the imps, and I find it very time inefficient to try and deal with the other trash before the boss. So I'm simply skipping all of that, getting him to 50%, allowing the imps to come through, running up onto the reset spot that is just next to the doorway where they come in, and using a lesser invisibility potion. It does mean it's going to cost me 1 gold each run in the lesser invisibility potion, however it does also save dramatically on time and make the farm considerably more viable for me. And I think ultimately it's worth it, because even if I weren't to use that and were somehow able to be successful in the killing of the boss as well as all of the trash, because of the limitations of my character, it's probably going to end up taking me a solid 10 minutes extra, which I don't think it's going to be worthwhile in terms of the added gold value. One thing that was worthwhile, however, was this jump run in particular, because I was able to get myself my first arcane crystal from these jump runs. So I've now completed, I believe, 6 jump runs, something around there, and I finally got my first arcane crystal. It was about 31 gold, I think it went up on the auction house for, and hopefully it sells, so we'll have to see. But this was recorded at the time of running the instance and not when we record our final sales for the episode. And finally, because I am me, I went and did Tier's Hand. I got myself some world buffs by accident, and wandered on over, and I did about an hour and a half in Tier's Hand, which it says on the display that you can see with the add-on that I made roughly, I think it says about 95 gold, 100 gold, something in and around there, at the end of this run. However, that is totally ludicrous. It is slightly inflated because of additional value of materials that were actually from disenchanting that I did along the way, so it's adding both the value of the green item and the materials that I got. But this is also mitigated because while that works in my favour, it also thinks that I spent like 50 gold on flash powder for vanishing, which is just flat out not true. I don't know how many vanishes you'd actually have to do in order to spend 50 gold, but I don't think I would ever spend that in the entire length of time that I play the WoW Classic servers before TBC. So all in all, this was a very steady farm. We didn't get an awful lot in terms of high value items. We got a green item that we're going to try and sell, which is going to be plus shadow damage cloak, and we also got ourselves a recipe for Elixir of the Sages, which is one of the more steady farms, one of the more steady items that you're going to supply yourself on from doing this farm, and we had run out, so that works out pretty nice. Okay, so you join me now on my bank character, where we can see we're up by about 150 gold on last episode, which is good, but in 3 days I would be hoping for better. As a general rule of thumb, we aim for about 100 gold a day on this challenge, but it doesn't take into account how much extra we have in our stock to sell. So if we take a quick look through our bags, you can see it's pretty much all the usual stuff, nothing too fancy here, at least not if you've been keeping a track of the challenge. The most unusual thing that we're going to have in here is that we've still got some leftover explosive sheep from when we leveled our engineering, and our frost oils, while we have had some sales, haven't been quite as lucrative as we'd hoped when we first tested them out. But where we're going to see the big difference is going to be on the auction house. So right now, in value, in unsold auctions, I have 734 gold on the auction house. Now this is a massive step up over where we were. As a general rule, I've been hovering about the 500 gold mark on the auction house at any given time during this challenge. But I'm really hoping, while I'm currently in this situation where nothing seems to be selling, that while I aren't getting any sales, I can at least be building up my auction house. So I'm aiming to get this up to 1,000 gold. Ideally, I'm going to miss that aim because things will start selling, but if not, we'll get to 1,000. So notable things we've got on the auction house are going to be our Ace of Elementals that we had as a random drop. I believe that was from doing a jump run. We got it from the water boss, the first boss that you kill. We've got our elemental waters still to sell. We've got a lot of crafted items. We've got some lesser eternal essence from disenchanting greens from Tier's Hand. We've got oil of immolation because it's currently at an incredibly high price, which is not commonplace, but someone reset the market, so we're trying to get in on that action a little bit. We have an awful lot of alchemy crafts, as you can see. Nightscape tunic from our leatherworking. We've not had very much luck with that at all. We're getting a rallying cry of the Dragon Slayer, which is going to be incredibly helpful on our bank tune. Shame that we're unaware of the timers, otherwise we could have made some use of that. Oh well. We've still got Garona, a study on stealth and treachery to sell. We have invis pots, we have elemental waters, shadow oils, a couple of greens that we've had dropped. So our ivy orb of healing, as we've discussed in the past, sell anything that's of healing, tends to be pretty good. Still got loads of rough copper bombs to try and sell off. Not really expecting these to shift all that quickly. We may give up on them at some point in the future, but basically we had to craft a lot of them for leveling our engineering, and the price that they will sell at, if they do sell, is going to be significantly more than the vendor price, so it is worth giving them a chance. We've got a rather nice cloak here, Elegant Cloak of Shadow Wrath. That's one from Tier's Hand that we did since last episode, which I'm hopeful we'll be able to sell with the amount of people that are currently leveling Warlocks for TBC. A pretty nice cloak right there. And then down to our iron grenades, which are extremely expensive at the minute. And that's pretty much about that. So if we take a quick look at TSM, and we'll have a look, we'll set it to the 1 week, but we'll look at the last sort of 3 days. So this morning is Thursday morning, so from around here, That's where we ended up on our last episode, and we immediately after we did our episode recording, invested, and went straight back up and invested again. And this is actually the lull after an investment up at 2,288 gold, so we're really hoping that's going to get us up more towards the 2,500 mark. In terms of our sales, just make sure, we're on the last 3 days. We've had 827 items sold for 617 gold. So like we said before, we're selling a lot, but it's all really cheap stuff. We don't get too many big ticket sales, but we do kind of need some. So we did sell an arcane crystal. This is the one that we got from our jump run the other day. We did get our first ever arcane crystal and we sold it, but the price is kind of shocking. Really had me debating how much value there was in the jump runs, especially when if you look at there and you see that I purchased 2, but they were purchased well over a year ago. Those had value. It's much less than half now. I understand that there isn't as much demand for the Arcanite bars and whatnot, but it really does diminish the value of the jump run, so we'll have to debate if we're going to be doing that moving forward, given the time investment involved. Although we have now finally mastered doing jump runs without dying, so that's nice. We finally sold our Girdle of Golem Strength, and our plans for the Mithril Shield Spike, which is pretty nice. Where it might possibly make it worth going back and doing some more RFK with our Rogue. The price of the small Radiant Shards has diminished, which has meant that we've been putting off doing certain farm, but those were both picked up there as well, so it might make it a little bit more appealing to us. We sold our Priest Book for Diamol, so hopefully the Rogue one will follow soon. And beyond that, you're looking at a lot of crafts from alchemy, as well as a couple of Felcloths that again we were getting from jump runs. So perhaps there is some value, but perhaps it's more loaded in the random items you can get along the way, as opposed to the arcane crystals there now. So I think that's about everything of interest in that what we can see. So I'll just finish making our way to the bottom of the list. Fantastic. So that's going to about wrap it up for this episode, guys. I do hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do let me know down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.